This is Michael Faulkner, and it's showtime at the May 8th, 2012 edition of the Weekly Podioplex, brought to you by the Chronic Rift. Welcome to the summer movie season. Starting with the box office report, this weekend's rundown kicks off with number 10 and The Three Stooges, down one spot from 9th. In 9th is Safe, down 3 from 6th. Holding steady at number 8 is Chimpanzee. Also holding position from last week is The Raven, keeping its number 7 spot. In 6th place is The 5-Year Engagement, dropping 1 from 5th. At 5th, we had The Lucky One, sliding down 1 from 4th with $5.4 million to bring the flick to $47.8 million. In 4th is last week's runner-up, The Pirates, Band of Misfits, yo-ho-hoing with another $5.5 million in ill-gotten booty to a treasure chest of $18.7 million. Holding steady in 3rd place is The Hunger Games, adding another $5.7 million to its current total of $380.7 million. The film has held one of the top 3 spots for the 7th straight weekend, and now stands at 14th on the all-time charts. The next milestone for Katniss and Company is the $381 million mark set by Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. In 2nd is last week's winner, Think Like a Man, adding another $8.1 million to a new total of $73.1 million. By far, this week's winner was huge. One might even say it was Hulk-like. With a record-breaking $207.4 million, the top spot belongs to The Avengers. I'll start the story at the midnight openings, with The Avengers set the highest superhero midnight opening ever, with $18.7 million, cresting The Dark Knight's $18.5 million. This movie's midnight premiere was the 8th highest overall. Next, while it fell short of setting a new opening day record, The Avengers was the fastest movie ever to reach $100 million, $150 million, and $200 million, and it set new daily records for Saturday with $69.6 million and Sunday with $57.1 million. The $207.4 million weekend broke the previous all-time weekend record set by Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. That record was $169.2 million. In 3 days, The Avengers has outgrossed Thor, Captain America the First Avenger, and The Incredible Hulk. It is on track to beat Iron Man and Iron Man 2 by next weekend. The movie also got the rare A+ cinema score from audiences, which were evenly split across age brackets and were split 60-40 by gender, with men making up the extra 10%. The film also ran away with overseas markets for another week, adding $151.5 million from 52 territories, including openings in China and Russia with about $17 million each. The new overseas total is $441.5 million. Taking a breath, let's close out the box office report with a look at what was winning in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2007, Spider-Man 3 stayed on top for a second week with $58.2 million. 10 years ago in 2002, Spider-Man was number 1 for a second week with $71.4 million. Spider-Man broke Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone record of $57.5 million for the highest second weekend gross. 20 years ago in 1992, Basic Instinct had its 4th consecutive week at number 1 after 8 weeks in release with $4 million. 30 years ago in 1982, Conan the Barbarian removed Porky's from the box office throne with $9.6 million. And 40 years ago in 1972, Play It Again, Sam beat The Godfather with $4.9 million. So what does the week of May 11th have to avenge Think Like a Man? We start with Dark Shadows, a comedy fantasy film starring Johnny Depp, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Eva Green.
My name is Barnabas Collins. 2 centuries ago, I made Collinwood my home, my love, until a jealous witch cursed me, condemning me to the shadows. What have you done? For all time.
What the hell is this?
He's coming. He's coming.
Hear me, future dweller. What is the year?
1972.
1972. My beloved Collinwood.
The Collins family.
Who the hell is this?
I'm a vampire, madam.
Yeah.
He's just staying with us forever, is he? I like him.
Oh, super fly.
Welcome home, Barnabas Collins.
How soon can the horses be ready?
We don't have horses. We have a Chevy.
What sorcery is this?
Reveal yourself, tiny songstress.
Hello, Barnabas. Remember me?
Witch, you cursed me to be this hideous creature.
You may strategically place your wonderful lips upon my posterior and kiss it repeatedly.
What if I made you love me?
With what a spell.
With this?
I must admit, they have not aged a day.
She for real?
Indeed.
If I can't have you, I'll destroy you.
And your family.
Missed me.
I shall restore the family business to its former glory.
Burn, baby, burn.
Fight on, Barnabas. Fight on for us.
And fight I shall.
Love me.
Never. That was a regrettable turn of events.
Are you stoned or something?
They tried stoning me, my dear. It did not work.
An imprisoned vampire, Barnabas Collins, is set free and returns to his ancestral home, where his dysfunctional descendants are in need of his protection. Dark Shadows is rated PG-13. The other wide release this week is Where Do We Go Now?, a drama starring Claude Boz-Mazabwa, Layla Hankim, and Nadine Labaki. A group of Lebanese women try to ease religious tensions between Christians and Muslims in their village. Where Do We Go Now is rated PG-13. This week also has 3 titles coming to limited release. The first is God Bless America, a comedy starring Joel Murray, Tara Lynn Barr, and Mackenzie Brooks Smith. On a mission to rid society of its most repellent citizens, terminally ill Frank makes an unlikely accomplice in 16-year-old Roxy. God Bless America is rated R. The next title is Hick, a comedic drama starring Chloe Grace Moretz, Blake Lively, and Rory Culkin. A Nebraska teen gets more than she bargained for when she sets out for the bright lights of Las Vegas. Hick is rated R. And last on this week's box office new releases is Girl in Progress, a comedic drama starring Eva Mendes, Sierra Ramirez, and Patricia Arquette. As single mom Grace juggles work, bills, and her affair with a married doctor, her daughter, Anzadad, plots a shortcut to adulthood after finding inspiration in the coming-of-age story she's reading for school. Girl in Progress is rated PG-13. Next up, we'll take a look at the home entertainment options for the week of May 8th, and we begin with new releases on DVD and Blu-ray. The first title this week is Underworld Awakening, a fantasy action film starring Kate Beckinsale, Michael Ealy, and India Isley. When human forces discover the existence of vampire and lichen clans, a war to eradicate both species commences. The vampire warrior Selene leads the battle against humankind. Underworld Awakening is rated R. Also coming this week from the Underworld franchise is a 4-pack of Blu-rays that contains all 4 films in the series. The next title this week is The Genesis Code, a drama starring Logan Bartholomew, Kelsey Sanders, and C.R. Lewis. A college hockey player and a female journalism student struggle to find common ground with their spiritual faith in scientific studies. The Genesis Code is rated PG. The next title this week is The Vow, a romantic drama starring Rachel McAdams, Channing Tatum, and Sam Neill. A car accident puts Paige in a coma, and when she wakes up with severe memory loss, her husband Leo works to win her heart again. The Vow is rated PG-13. Next up is Tim and Eric's Billion Dollar Movie, a comedy starring Tim Heidecker, Eric Warheim, and Robert Loggia. 2 guys get $1 billion to make a movie, only to watch their dream run off course. In order to make the money back, they then attempt to revitalize a failing shopping mall. Apparently they've never heard of Kickstarter. Tim and Eric's Billion Dollar Movie is rated R. Next up, just in time for the holiday of the same name, we have Mother's Day, a horror thriller film starring Rebecca De Mornay, Jamie King, and Shawn Ashmore. The sadistic members of a villainous family return to their childhood home to terrorize the new homeowners and their guests. Mother's Day is rated R. And the last new release to Blu-ray and DVD this week is Playback, a horror thriller starring Christian Slater, Amber Childers, and Toby Hemingway. A cop investigates the case of a missing local teen, though he discovers a dark secret that has been unleashed in his town, and an evil spirit that will stop at nothing to find its heir. Playback is rated R. Next up, we'll take a look at the titles coming from TV to DVD and Blu-ray. The first stop is Chuck, the complete 5th season, starring Zachary Levi, Yvonne Strahovski, and Adam Baldwin. Chuck is back with new missions and a new business, and no intersect. The stakes are high as Chuck sets out to become a full-fledged spy. But without the CIA as backup, Chuck will have to rely now more than ever on John Casey, Sarah Walker, and a new intersect, Morgan Guillermo Grimes. Across this thrilling final season, Chuck will find that his wits, his friends, and his family are the only backup he needs. The publishers on Gallifrey have been busy this week. We have 3 titles from the Doctor Who universe. The first is Doctor Who Nightmare of Eden, starring Tom Baker and Lalla Ward. 2 spacecraft fuse in a hyperspace collision. Fortunately, the 4th Doctor, Romana, and K9 arrive to help. But when a crew member is found clawed by a ferocious animal, it seems there's something even more frightening stalking the corridors. The answers lie with zoologist Professor Trist, his CET protection machine, and a planet called Eden, the home of the ferocious mandrills. The second title this week is Doctor Who Dragonfire, starring Sylvester McCoy, Bonnie Langford, and Sophie Aldred. At the Ice World space trading colony on Svartos, the 7th Doctor and Mel unexpectedly encounter an old friend. The penniless and desperate Sabalom Glitz has only one option to leave Svartos: find the fabled Dragonfire treasure concealed somewhere in the depths of the planet. Joined by Ace, a teenage waitress with a love for explosives, the group ventures off to uncover lost riches, not knowing that Kane, Iceworld's ruthlessly intimidating overlord, will gladly murder them all to gain possession of the Dragonfire himself. Before long, the Doctor finds himself playing a deadly game of cat and mouse with Kane's mercenaries, descending through the ice caverns ever closer to the deadly gaze of the monstrous dragon that lurks below. And the last of the 3 timey-wimey releases this week is Doctor Who The Happiness Patrol, starring Sylvester McCoy, Sophie Aldred, Georgina Hale, and David John Pope. On the planet Terra Alpha, bright fluorescent lights and garish candy-striped colors abound. The population constantly displays happy smiles. There's no sadness on Terra Alpha. Anyone feeling remotely glum disappears quickly. Having heard disturbing rumors, the 7th Doctor and Ace arrive to topple the entire regime overnight, but they haven't reckoned upon the varied punitive measures enforced by the colony leader Helen A. There are many delicious ways in which to vanish on Terra Alpha. You could be hunted down by the omnipresent Happiness Patrol, or mauled by Helen A's ravenous pet Fifi. But those especially unlucky few will find themselves entertained in the Sweetie Factory manned by Helen A's psychotic henchman, the Candy Man. This time, happiness will prevail. The next title this week from TV on DVD is Fantasy Island, the complete 2nd season, starring Ricardo Montalban and Hervé Villechaize. A mysterious, elegant man named Mr. Rourke and his charming pint-sized sidekick make the fantasies of paying customers come true on a Pacific Island paradise in this hugely popular show that lasted for 7 powerhouse seasons.
Our guests are arriving on time to the 2nd.
They always do. And you always act like it's a miracle.
My dear Tattoo, when each guest is paying $50,000 for a 3-day stay on Fantasy Island, he or she deserves miracles.
Right, boss.
It's so hard to turn your life over.
The next title is The Big C, the complete 2nd season, starring Laura Linney and Oliver Platt. Laura Linney returns in her Golden Globe winning role for a new season of The Big C, the hit Showtime original series about living with cancer. After spending season 1 ignoring her illness, Kathy Jamieson has decided to fight back. Bring it on, says Kathy as she enters an experimental clinical trial while continuing to live life to the fullest in this heartfelt and surprising comedy. And the last TV on DVD title this week is Vegas, the 3rd season, Volume 1, starring Tony Curtis, Robert Urich, Greg Morris, and Bart Braverman. In this popular series, handsome, fun-loving private eye Dan Tana drives around Las Vegas in his vintage Thunderbird solving private cases, but is also on retainer to a wealthy casino owner to keep crime out of his hotels. He is helped by his smart and sexy assistant and his enthusiastic yet inept legman. And to round out the home entertainment slate this week, we'll take a look at Blu-rays from the past. The first one on the list is Gremlins 2: The New Batch, a comedy fantasy film from 1990 starring Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, and John Glover. The Gremlins are back, and this time they've taken total control over the building of a media mogul. Gremlins 2, The New Batch is rated PG-13. The next title on the list is La Haine, The Criterion Collection, a drama from 1995 starring Vincent Cassel, Hubert Condé, and Saeed Ahmawi. After local youth Abdel is beaten unconscious by police, a riot ensues on his estate during which a policeman loses his gun. The gun is found by Vince, who threatens he will kill a cop if Abdel dies. La Haine is rated R. The next title is Ganja and Hess, coming to the Kino Classics Remastered Edition, a horror film from 1973 starring Marlene Clark, Dwayne Jones, and Bill Gunn. After being stabbed with an ancient German-infested knife, a doctor's assistant finds himself with an insatiable desire for blood. Ganja and Hess is rated R. And the last release on Blu-rays from the past is Dirty Dancing, the 2-film Blu-ray collection. This collection includes Dirty Dancing from 1987, starring Patrick Swayze, Jennifer Grey, and Jerry Orbach. In the summer of 1963, innocent 17-year-old Baby vacations with her parents at Catskills Resort. One evening, she's drawn to the staff quarters by stirring music. There she meets Johnny, the hotel dance instructor, who is as experienced as Baby is naive. Baby soon becomes Johnny's pupil in dance and love. Dirty Dancing is rated PG-13. The other title in the collection is Dirty Dancing Havana Nights from 2004, starring Diego Luna, Romola Garay, and Cela Ward. On the eve of Cuba's revolution, a young American woman discovers a passion for dance and for her sultry Cuban partner Javier. As the two prepare to take their place in the prestigious national dance competition, their bodies align in a sensual harmony that mirrors the growing bond between them. They dominate the dance floor with a sizzling style and rhythm all their own. Dirty Dancing Havana Nights is rated PG-13. The Weekly Podioplex will continue after this short promotional break.
Yes, we know there's a million podcasts out there, but there's only one Hollywood Outsider. Every week, your hosts, Aaron, Brian, Justin, and Scott, put their own spin on the latest in movie and TV news, new and upcoming releases, topics that are on ours or our listeners' minds, and hell, we even throw in some trivia where you can win a cavalcade of imaginary prizes. Most importantly, we have fun doing it. So come take a listen. The Hollywood Outsider is available on iTunes, Zune, Stitcher Radio, or at thehollywoodoutsider.com.
Next up, we'll take a look at the titles coming to Netflix streaming for the week of May 6th through May 12th. May 6th and May 7th are dead days, but they compensate with May 8th, starting with How the Garcia Girls Spent Their Summer, a comedic drama from 2005 starring Elizabeth Pena, America Ferrera, and Lucy Gallardo. 3 generations of women in a Mexican-American family experience sexual awakenings over the course of a summer. How the Garcia Girls Spent Their Summer is rated R. The next title on May 8th is Honey 2, a comedic drama from 2011 starring Kat Graham, Randy Wayne, and Aaron Benjamin. Recently released from juvenile detention, talented dancer Maria Ramirez finds an outlet for her passion with a new dance crew. Honey 2 is rated PG-13. The next title is Dirty Little Trick, a crime thriller from 2012 starring Dean Cain, Kirsty Bunsen, and Michael Madsen. Sarah pulls a dirty little trick on Danny using Peter while attempting to pin it on Michael. But it all falls apart when Michael realizes he's been set up. Dirty Little Trick is not rated. Next up, we have Bajo la Sal, a mystery thriller from 2008 starring Humberto Zurita, Plutarco Hassa, and Emilio Guerrero. A series of murders leads Commander Trujillo to Santa Rosa de la Sal, a town close to a salt mine, where he meets Victor Cepeda, a lonely teenager who works in his father's funeral home and spends his free time making crude animated horror films, whose strange behavior seems to point at him as the culprit of the crimes. Bajo la Sal is not rated. The next title is Talento del Barrio, a crime drama from 2008 starring Daddy Yankee, Maestro, and Catrice Soto. A young drug dealer falls in love while facing disruption among the men in his gang and being offered as a career as a reggaeton singer. Talento del Barrio is rated R. The next title is Playing House, a thriller from 2010 starring Shelley Colleen Black, Alex Dorman, and Mari E. Ferguson. In this taut thriller, newlyweds Jen and Mitch find that 3's company and 4's a crowd when they ask their friend Danny to move in with them to share expenses. But a sweet situation turns sour when Danny invites a new person into the mix. Playing House is not rated. The next title is Giallo, a horror thriller from 2009 starring Adrian Brody, Emmanuel Segnier, and Elsa Pataki. In Italy, a woman fears her sister may have been kidnapped. Inspector Enzo Alvolfi fears it's worse. To team up, they rescue her from a sadistic killer known only as Yellow. Yellow is rated R. Next up, we have Where the Road Meets the Sun, a crime drama from 2010 starring Eric Mabius, Will Yun Lee, and Fernando Noriega. Where the Road Meets the Sun is a drama centered on a man dealing with the after effects of being in a coma caused by a car accident. Where the Road Meets the Sun is not rated. Next, we have Café, a drama from 2010 starring Jennifer Love Hewitt, Daniel Eric Gold, and Michaela McCannis. When tragedy strikes the community surrounding a cafe in West Philadelphia, the cafe's regulars come to realize how intertwined their lives truly are. Café is not rated. Next is The Sleep Dealer, a drama from 2008 starring Luis Fernando Peña, Leonor Gorala, and Jacob Vargas. Set in a near-future, militarized world marked by closed borders, virtual labor, and a global digital network that joins minds and experiences, 3 strangers risk their lives to connect with each other and break the barriers of technology. Sleep Dealer is rated PG-13. Next, we have a police crime drama called The Line from 2007, starring David Barry, Lauren Boulanger, and Andy Boy. Between cop and criminal, betrayal respects no line. The Line is not rated. And the last title on May 8th is Mancora, a drama from 2008 starring Jason Day, Elsa Pataki, and Enrique Murciano. Following his father's suicide, Santiago decides to escape the crude Lima winter to take refuge in Mancora, a beach to the north of Peru where it's always summer. Here he sees an unexpected visit from his stepsister, a young and beautiful photographer, and her husband, a young surgeon. The 3 take off on a journey escaping reality and in search of themselves. Mancora is rated R. May 9th brings us 3 titles. The first is Killer Elite, a crime drama from 2011 starring Jason Statham, Clive Owen, and Robert De Niro. When his mentor is taken captive, a retired member of Britain's elite Special Air Service is forced into action. His mission, kill 3 assassins dispatched for their cunning leader. Killer Elite is rated R. The second title is Answer This, a comedy from 2010 starring Christopher Gorham, Ariel Kebbel, and Nelson Franklin. Answer This is a comedy set in the world of competitive bar trivia, centering around a group of frustrated academics who finally get a shot at beer, women, and nerdy redemption when they enter a citywide trivia tournament. Answer This is rated PG-13. And the last title on May 9th is Tara Nal Love Hogaya, a comedy from India from 2012 starring Tinu Anand, Janelia D'Souza, and Ritesh Desmukh. A boy kidnaps a girl, but starts to fall in love with her. Tara Nal Love Hogaya is not rated. May 10th has only one title, that's G.I. Joe Season 2 from 1986 starring Jackson Beck, Chris Latta, and Michael Bell. Season 2 of this classic cartoon begins with the introduction of the new Cobra Emperor, Serpentor, along with other fresh faces such as Dr. Mindbender and Lifeline. Meanwhile, General Hawk is brought to the forefront as the definitive G.I. Joe leader. May 11th is a quiet day, but May 12th has 2 titles to wrap up the week. The first is Grimm's Snow White, a fantasy film from 2012 starring Eliza Bennett, Jane March, and Jamie Thomas King. When the king is killed by ferocious reptile beasts, his queen takes control of the kingdom. She tries to kill her beautiful stepdaughter Snow, but she escapes into the enchanted forest. Grimm's Snow White is rated PG-13. And the last title on the Netflix list this week is Go For It, a drama from 2010 starring Amy Garcia, Al Bandiero, and Josara Hinaro. A student must decide between following her dream to become a dancer or to follow the wishes of her family. Go For It is rated PG-13. Now we'll wrap up this week's edition with one item in the Quick Flicks. With the Avengers breaking box offices, fans are wondering what's next. Well, for the Hulk, actor Mark Ruffalo has a 6-film deal that could put him in any number of Marvel's movies. There's a possibility he may appear in Iron Man 3, and Marvel has reopened the door for another attempt at a Hulk movie. Meanwhile, Thor 2 is already on Marvel's plate. Chris Hemsworth told MTV reporters that he's hoping director Alan Taylor will bring his Game of Thrones feel to Asgard. Quote, Game of Thrones had a real mythical element to it, but was rooted in such an organic and intangible world. I think Asgard could really benefit from that sort of grittier, aged feel to it, and not so ethereal, he said. The big thing about the comics for me was the origin story. Thor was interesting, but what I found more fascinating was the other worlds and realms that you could be taken off into, end quote. On to Captain America, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige told Wired that, quote, Cap's in the modern day now. So if we looked at war movies from the 40s as our inspiration for the first Cap, the next one we're looking at very different movies, very different inspiration. So it'll almost be a different genre of film, which I've never seen before in a sequel, end quote. He also told Movie Line that Black Widow is likely to appear in someone else's movie before she gets her own standalone film, despite the implied backstory revealed in the Avengers. Quote, "Who knows what those things are? We haven't seen any of those things in other movies. What were those things and what do they mean? I love that. I'd love to explore that deeper," end quote. And then there's always the question of what characters we might see in future Avengers sequels. Comic site Superhero Hype asked about Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, a brother-sister mutant team that jumps between the Avengers and the X-Men in the comics. Fox owns the rights to the X-Men and related properties, whereas Marvel Studios owns the Avengers. Quote, "We both have Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. There's a specific arrangement with those two characters that would allow us to use them with Avengers, but not discuss or reference their mutant or Magneto-related lineage. They can use them as mutants and as Magneto's relatives, but cannot have anything to do with the Avengers," end quote. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, please take a moment to get in touch. You can surf on over to chronicriff.com and leave a note in the forums. Leave a voicemail at 888-866-9010 or write to John at chronicriff.com. You can follow us on Tumblr, tweet us on Twitter, check into the network on GetGlue, watch the classics on Funny or Die, give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, and leave us a review on iTunes. You can also find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook and Google+. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make through the store supports the Chronic Rift. Look for the link in our show notes. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. This is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. I'll see you at the theater.